2012, the entire community came together to make changes for the good of the watershed. From city and county government programs to work by the DNR, from farmers with the Yahara Pride to the sewerage district to builders working on erosion control through the Clean Waters Initiative. Everyone worked on one plan for the future.
This problem of our water quality is based on a lot of different sources of phosphorus coming into the lakes, and so we all need to play a role, and everybody's involvement is very important.
The goal, a 50% reduction of phosphorus runoff into the lakes. The plan, 14 specific actions to make it happen.
This is a pretty comprehensive look on what's going on in terms of what's the water quality, what's the beach situation, the ice conditions on the lake. It gives you a good overall picture of what's going on with the lakes.
Larsen Converse wrote the report, State of the Yahara Lakes 2012, working with the Clean Lakes Alliance, scientists, and agencies from every level of government, from local to federal.
There is hope for the lakes. The work that they've done has really made me hopeful that maybe my kids will be able to see some of the benefits of the work that's being done.
The report shows promise. Dane County lakes and watersheds worked on landscape innovations, including wetland restoration, grass buffers near streams, and roofs over livestock. These actions in agriculture resulted in more than 2,500 pounds of phosphorus diverted from our waterways. The county also funded creative ideas.
We also had the Yahara Pride group experimented with new practices like cover crops.
Annual ryegrass was flown in on more than 800 acres of standing corn to get grass growing while the corn was still up, covering exposed cropland susceptible to winter runoff. In urban areas, cities connected to the watershed, Madison, Middleton, Monona, and Fitchburg, are all doing their part to keep the phosphorus out.
The thing that I learned in putting together a lot of this information is you get this impression that beaches are always closed because you just remember the bad days. But there's been a lot of work being done on them over the last couple decades by different groups, and it's been getting cleaner.
We saw an influx of beach use, and our numbers last year were significantly higher than any of our numbers within the last 10 years.
The City of Madison Parks Department has taken innovative steps to ensure cleaner, healthier water.
Number one, it's an aesthetic resource. So having a clean resource aesthetically, and then also the wildlife management plan. What happens with animal droppings is in a coordinated effort to try to reduce that throughout our whole system, which is important.
All of these efforts by people in the watershed are complicated by changes in Mother Nature.
The most important changes that are troublesome are the increasing frequency of severe storms, because it's severe storms and early spring meltwater. Those are the two things that bring the bulk of the nutrients in.
But last year was a weather anomaly and an opportunity for scientists.
2012, as most people will remember, we had a severe drought. There was very little runoff and very little phosphorus that came with that runoff that entered the lakes. The lakes are very efficient at recycling its phosphorus and moving it through the system. The challenge is how to stop the phosphorus from coming off the landscape. If we can do that, the lakes show, just like these drought periods, they respond very quickly.
Part of meeting that challenge is gathering empirical data in real time.
It's flow information and water quality information.
The U.S. Geological Survey has monitoring stations on all major inflows to Lake Mendota.
The red line here represents what the water level is.
These monitoring stations give constant updates on the water quality as it comes off the landscape and goes into the lakes.
What we're collecting is the baseline data so that when we move forward, we can see if these conservation practices actually improved water quality. I like to say that water quality monitoring is a little bit like getting directions from a map. You can't really know where you're going until you know where you're at.
Thanks to this report, we now know where we are. And thanks to a team of experts and the community rallying around a common goal, the lakes and streams in Dane County are on a path to recovery.
This is the reason we're doing all these management practices, is because if we could cut the amount of phosphorus that comes in, The lakes will respond, and these drought periods tell us that the lakes do respond when there's very little phosphorus flowing into the lakes.